just start talking? Oh, right, we're talking. Okay, so my name's Hugh. I'm...
Point the camera at you while you talk.
Fine. Obviously, I don't do this very often, but it's a great pleasure to be here. I've come all the way from Canberra. That probably explains why I'm like this. But I've worked on Macintoshes my whole life since I was a little kid, and I have enjoyed them very much. And I found this one. This is a PowerBook 540C. I found this one when I worked at a school in Canberra called Lake Tuggeranong College in about 2008. And schools just have computers that build up in the cupboards. And every now and then someone will get the shits with that and they'll throw it out, which is not good because they're throwing out good things. So I rescued this one. It's a PowerBook 540C. It's from 1995. It has a 33 megahertz processor, about 300 megs on a hard disk, 4 megs of RAM. It cost at the time in US $4,840, which in today's money is about 10K. So very expensive machine. It was one of the few computers to start. I don't think you saw before. It has a now it might be time. Yeah, it has a trackpad. One of the first to have a trackpad. The lighting's terrible. Let's move it this side. Oh, we're going to fix it. Yeah. It has a trackpad. It has a colour screen. Ooh, this screen can do thousands of colours. It has a Motorola 68LC040 processor, which is one of the last Macs to use a Motorola processor. And it has no floating point unit, so if you want to do floating point maths, you have to do it in software. It was released about halfway, or just at the start of the Power Macintosh transition when they were moving from Motorola chips to the PowerPC chips. And this would have been a silly computer to buy, because it's like buying an Intel Mac in 2023, right? Because it's a bit out of date. But so they released this one as a bit of a stopgap, and sort of it was upgradable because the CPU was is on a daughter board that you can sort of take off, and you can put a PowerPC one as a first-party PowerPC upgrade chip that you can put in. Like I said, it's got thousands of color screens, 640 by 480. It's got stereo sound. There's a speaker on either side of the screen there. It has a trackpad. That's unique, and the first one to have this, first major available computer to have a trackpad. And it's an Apple laptop, so it's got a whole bag over there full of adapters and dongles. Apparently this one came standard with a modem, but I don't have it, so someone's stolen it. It has a special Ethernet adapter, which is really helpful when you're trying to get stuff from old computers to new computers, because old computers don't always have a way of talking to new computers, but having an Ethernet adapter just makes that so much easier. The computer, the system software has a shaky TCP/IP implementation, so you can get them to talk. And it has a copy of Panic Transit. Not Transmit, it was renamed from Transit to Transmit at some point. Development, there's no Xcode, which is good. There was a bunch of SDKs that Apple used, and I think I never wrote software for this one or for this computers at this era, but it was, I think, pretty typical to use a third-party piece of software called Metroworks. And I think Apple used that internally, in fact. Yeah, you usually needed third-party stuff to get it going. Games, obviously, there's games on it. I'll show you them in a bit. So why am I telling you this? Well, firstly, because I think it's interesting, and that should be sufficient. If something's interesting, it's worth studying. But I think software engineering as a whole doesn't appreciate its history. And so those, just as a quote from a comic, those who study history are doomed to repeat it, and those who don't study history are doomed to repeat it, and those who do study history are doomed to watch those who don't repeat it. So it will behove us all to study some more of our history. And you don't need to go digging around in cupboards in schools to participate in this. This machine is 30 years old. So it's younger than I am, but now it's a curiosity. So I think it's worth knowing where we came from. So unlike sort of Windows computers of a similar era or Unix computers of a similar era, you probably, if I gave this to any of you, I think you'd be able to figure it out within pretty quickly. You'd figure it out. You know how to use this already. It's got a menu bar at the top, the trackpad works, and the folders, whatever. But I don't think you'd be able to do that with a Unix or Windows machine for the same time. So that, I think, is quite an interesting thing. There's lessons that we can learn from the past and stuff that they did that make things easier for us. And so knowing how we got to where we are today is very valuable, and it stops us falling into this old traps. And you can sort of see the industry doing that already. If you've been around for long enough, you can see people falling into the same old traps. Let's stop doing that and study a bit of history. So I wish Apple would pay more attention to its history. So we keep throwing things away as, oh, that's just a load of e-waste. Which I don't want to be, don't get me wrong, I think we should keep pushing technology forwards, but if we eschew everything old as just outdated and unfashionable, then that's sort of the technology equivalent of fast fashion. So what can we do? I don't know. I have no answers for you. But desktop publishing and magazines and everything, they have a concept of legal deposit, where if you publish something, you must deposit something at a collecting agency. Like in Australia, it's the National Library of Australia. So it's archiving is like right there in front of everybody's mind the whole time. We've got nothing like that. So we don't even think about it. And you might think that there's nothing worth archiving. Like you've got a JSON pretty printer app from like, it's a finance app, maybe you don't think it's important. Well, I think it is, and I think it is a cultural artifact, and it is worth keeping so that future generations of people can understand us, right? So I don't know the answer to how to make this easier for us, but that's it. So how can we help? I think you can participate, you can use archives, investigate archives like archive.org. I'll show you a few in a minute. Really good thing I'm going to plug now. I'm giving you homework. You have to go home and you have to help your parents back up their photos. Help them set up an offsite backup, write down who's in the photos, where they were, everything like that. That's 99.9% of archiving is that. Did I mention at any point in here, I actually worked at the National Library, which is why I probably like this. So I worked at the National Library, and we did a lot of digital archiving, and it's surprising how much it's paperwork, and seems like, oh, what boring, pitiful stuff, but it is very important, because if you don't do it, you'll just forget it. If it's of interest to the public, you might upload it to the Internet Archive, and don't worry about making it accessible forever. Like, digital archiving is all about making it accessible now and next year, and you just do that every year, and you'll never have a problem. So I want to show you. Well, first of all, Dan's given me a floppy disk. And he wants, I don't know how we're going to do this. I'm going to have so many hands. He wants me to format the floppy disk. Pat, would you? Your dial. Thanks, mate.
Where do you want to point it?
At the screen, please. What's going to happen? I've not done this on this computer. I've never used the floppy drive on it. So we'll see.
Plugged it in.
Nah. So this is live coding.
Demo gods. Yeah.
Is the disk formatted?
Oh, we're going to format the disk. Yeah.
So it's not formatted yet?
Well, no, apparently it is. It's PC formatted. So we're going to erase the disk.
No, I get closer.
Of course you can.
Here you go.
So we're going to create Dan disk. Okay. 800K. Will that do, Dan? Bye, Dan. All right, we're erasing the disk. Can you get the microphone and hear it? It makes a little click. I doubt you can hear that. But to anyone who's used these old computers, that's a lovely sound.
Should be 30 minutes or so.
Yeah, it'll be about 3 hours. Yeah. Okay, that's not exactly very exciting. So let's maybe we can we switch to my laptop? Thanks, Pat.
We're gonna put there.
So I promised you sort of how can you participate and help and stuff. Bot, can we put my screen on the big screen now, please? Thank you. Oh, that's probably my screen, so maybe I need to do one of these ones. Okay, here we go. So there's this website I really like. It's called the Infinite Mac. And you go here, and you can see a list of system software when it was released. And you go down, you can see next step stuff there. And you just click on them, and you go, you know what, I'm going to run that. And it just boots, and you get a Mac. Well, don't worry about that, ignore that. You get a Mac from 1980 something, and you can just use it like a normal Mac in your computer. Instantly. You don't have to bugger around with emulators and stuffing about. He's just figured it all out for you. I've got one over here, which I prepared earlier. So that's just a Mac 1, and in here you can just get software from the old days, and you can start programming it. If you find stuff in your dad's cupboard that you don't know how to open, you can open it using this, because you can upload stuff from your computer through your browser into here and start to use it. I think this one I've got, yeah, this is a game that a friend of mine wrote. I didn't know he wrote this, but I played this game loads of times. Then I just happened to be in a bushwalking club, and he said that he wrote it. So this is great. I wasted hours on that game. I'm not going to launch it now because I'm terrible at it. You don't need to see that. And you can get Next Step if you want to do that. If you don't know, Next Step was a predecessor of macOS. It sort of merged with macOS to make macOS 10, and then you can get macOS 10 on here, but I haven't opened that one yet, so let's type it in. It takes a long time to boot, and I'm talking a long time. But I remember macOS taking a long time. Yeah, so did macOS 10, so it's going to take a long time to boot, but it'll do it, and it'll have an error, that's fine. It's because I've got more than one emulator at the time, so it won't share a disk. It does save stuff to your browser's little persistent memory thing, so you can save stuff between sessions. So if you work on something, close the tab, don't worry about it, it's saved in the disk. This is not going to do anything. But that's really my talk. I just hope you find this interesting. If there is anyone wants to have a look at this, please ask me first, just because you're welcome to come and have a play, but just I don't want everyone up here looking at it all the time. So just ask me a bit first. Okay. Any questions? Did the disk format? Yeah, it did. The disk. Cool.
Save icon.
Save icon is ejected, yeah. So is that it? Cool.
Any questions? Anyone?
Luke's got a question.
That computer's 30 years old. How long do you think the hardware's actually going to last? Is that model going to be prone to like capacitor failure or anything like that? Or do you think it's just going to keep on ticking?
Hopefully it'll keep on ticking. A lot of computers of the similar vintage have the capacitors in them break, and you can go through and you can, depending how good you are at soldering, go and fix them with much better capacitors. You can take out the disks that are slow and put in much better disks. There's a blue SCSI project that allows you to do that. There's a huge community of people online dedicated to keeping this stuff working. Because they're simple machines relatively to modern computers, that stuff is easier. Modern computers, probably a lot harder to do that with, so we're not going to be able to do that when these machines get to a really advanced stage. Yeah.
Anything else? Pizza? No more questions?
Thanks very much, everyone.